Welcome all my lovely goblins and ghouls, my imps, my apes and gorillas of the internet. I am Anya, your demonic cinephile, and we are continuing our journey to the kingdom of the planet of the apes with Escape from the Planet of the Apes, the third original film of the franchise that came out in 1971. Directed by Don Taylor and starring Roddy McDowell and Kim Hunter. So this is the most weird and bizarre movie yet, because the first two are very, I guess you say, traditional sci-fi films. I'm guessing if you want to use today's standards with, I don't know, anime fans, because I'm like that, because I'm an anime boy on the internet. I guess you can call the first movie kind of like isekai films, because it has two normal humans being thrown into another world, which is technically the same world, just in a different time and place. Well, we have two characters being thrown from the future into the past. So we get this really cool, fun introduction where we see the Taylor ship from the first movie wash up on the beach of, I think, California. And when the whole we have this whole army crew coming up to see who's in the ship, they think they're gonna rescue Taylor and see everything. Like, it's Taylor's back, or somebody's back. Maybe it's an alien. And three people come out of the ship, and it's like, it's a bunch of apes. Yeah, we get three apes here. And we, of course, we get our classic characters from the first two movies. We get Cornelius and Zira. And we get a new character called Dr. Milo. Forget about Dr. Milo. No one cares about Dr. Milo. He is quickly dispatched. Now, this is the first Apes movie that's very 70s. And it lets you know how 70s this film freaking is, because it has this very groovy funk opening where all the government people overreact about a bunch of apes coming out of the spaceship and getting dressed in human-esque clothes and using utensils to eat. It's like, this is ridiculous. Maybe the apes are just pets and they just learn to do all these things. From the explanation that Dr. Milo's given, so apparently the apes. Alright, so this is still in continuity with the first two films. Supposedly. I'm gonna get on that. So, for some reason, Cornelius, Zira, and Milo, who Milo was not in the second film, for some reason they had the bright idea to get into Taylor's ship, which they scavenged between films, and fly up into it, get into it, and fly into the atmosphere right when Taylor set off the nuke that blew up the Earth. And then somehow, when the nuke destroyed the planet, that created enough force to open up a time hole in space that flew the apes back in time to 1971. Okay. Still, sci-fi. Let's roll with it. Okay, so when does this happen? When did they take his ship between films? Where period when Brent and what's her name, Nova, were riding into Forbidden Zone and the gorillas were marching. Did that take much longer than it was actually shown in the film? Was that actually taking place? Was that actually taking place like between weeks instead of like days? Like, did our characters had enough time to make these discoveries or something? Like, I want this to fit in continuity, but it's kind of hard to. But don't get too attached to Dr. Milo, because he dies because a very, very bad actor in a very, very bad gorilla suit. Yeah, but I do like it when. So the first instinct the government people see when they see the chimps is, yeah, take them to the zoo. We'll have a veterinarian look at them. So you meet this new character. Technically there's two, but the main one that gets the most screen time is Dr. Lewis. He has another name, but Dr. Lewis is what I'm going to call him. He is a psychiatrist, kind of like Zira, putting them through all of these tests. He's like, oh, they're quite intelligent. He starts debating Zira with a banana. He's like, why won't she take it? Because I love bananas. And when she talks, they all get freaked out. And that's when Yusa's character Milo dies. And they start talking. They start having a conversation, and it's so fun. It's so fun seeing the chimps on the receiving end. Because in the first two movies, the chimps have all the power. They're the ones in charge. They are the dominant class. But to see them being the ones weak and submissive, to see them being the ones to have to be afraid instead of, not being in charge, it's a nice role reversal. It's different seeing them being the ones in the cage. And it does kind of make you go back to the time when they had Taylor in the cage. We get this epic hearing between, it seems like just United Nations almost, where they're like, why are these chimpanzees and the astronaut thing? Why is there such a big deal between nations? It's just an astronaut coming back to Earth. But yeah, so they had this big conference. The chimps reveal themselves to be from the future. Zira makes a comment she probably shouldn't make, almost says she dissected humans. And this kicks off the big second act of the film, or the apes are basically become celebrities of the modern time. And it's a nice little section of the film. I like it. I like seeing them get accustomed to the modern era, which is 1971. You see them dressing up in modern clothes. You see them getting introduced to alcohol. Them watching TV. There's a cute little scene where Zero is enjoying a bubble bath. And it's just some dumb, silly moments, but I like those dumb, silly moments. I like it sometimes when the plot can take a break for a moment and we spend time with characters. It doesn't always work, but I really do love Cornelius and Zira. I really love that we got to spend so much time with them between all three films. In the first three films, they were more side characters to Taylor and Brent. But now that they're actually main characters, take up the more spotlight, I like it. I enjoy it. And they always kind of had the low end of the stick to a certain extent. So to see them having the limelight is nice. See them having a chance to rest and basically become celebrities is nice. It's nice. I like it. It's enjoyable. It's fun. It's silly. It's campy. Also, here we get introduced to the main villain of the piece, Dr. Hensless, Dr. Hannesless, Dr. I'm not sure I really pronounce his name. He's played by Eric Brandon, which is fun because this man, he plays in one of my mother's soap operas that I used to watch all the time with her, and occasionally still do, growing up. He's playing the paranoid skeptic, like, oh yes, so these apes are from the future. I know, I agree with that. But why are they from the future? How did apes become so intelligent that they can walk and talk like man? He's being the paranoid to the point where when it's found out that Zira is pregnant, and you can kind of get hinted at in part 2. He takes her back to their apartment. He's like, oh yes, here, drink some alcohol. It's gonna rest you up, and it's actually good for the baby. I guess they're drunk. He pulls out his little spy case tape recorder that looks like a cigarette case, and he has her start recording like, oh yes, how did you saw the Earth blew up again? Because this is the 70s. They made a nuke that could actually blow up the planet. Remember, that was in part 2. He takes this all to the president. And I like the president in this movie because he's not the goofy, dumb president that you see in most movies. He's also not the warmonger president. He's actually seems kind of like a smart and chill guy. He's like, hey, the apes mean us no harm, as far as we can tell. They don't seem dangerous. The people love them. It's gonna look dumb if we kill them. It's no reason for us to hurt them. It's gonna look bad if we hurt them. It's gonna look bad if it comes out that we hurt them. So leave the apes the frick alone. Just leave them alone. Stop talking to them. Eventually he can see, he's like, fine. If you really think the apes are that dangerous, just take them into question. And this begins the third act of the film, where the apes are interrogated for realsies. And this is where we get to in the first two movies, it was explained that the Earth died and chimps rose because of a nuclear war. Humans killed each other in some kind of nuclear event. Basically, humans were so devastated that apes had the chance to evolve into the superior animals. But if we, this movie's events, Cornelius pulls a story right out of his ass that goes more in line to what we were told, to what we saw in the reboot trilogy that came out that started in 2011 with Caesar. Now, he doesn't mention Caesar by name. He mentions another character called Aldo, but he says that there was a disease. Now just watch it. He says there was a disease that started off killing cats and dogs. And what cats and dogs didn't died. The rest had to be culled because the disease was just that dangerous. They had a chance to spread to other animals or other humans. Now, humans were either so desperate for animal companionship or for a need to dominate, they started bringing in apes. So, guessing chimpanzees, orangutans, maybe even gorillas into the household as pets. Eventually, some became more like pets, some became more like servants and slaves. And this went on for a long time. Not just like decades, but for centuries. And as centuries went on, from 1 century to 2 centuries to 3 centuries, apes began to evolve. They became more accustomed to human language, to human customs. They began to learn how to eat at the dinner table, to serve your plates, to serve this and that. They became knowledgeable of concepts, especially the concept of slavery. Till eventually one ape, not Caesar, but an ape called Aldo, stood up and he did not grunt. He said, no. Like, this is completely different histories than what was said in the first movie. Maybe this is something that Dr. Zaius knew, and maybe this was something that was in the Sacred Scrolls, and that was just hidden deep down that he did not want out. But I wouldn't think so, because Zaius wasn't just he was a religious zealot. He wouldn't want this information to be out. Even if he read this information, he would deny it with absolute certainty that he knew by his god that humans are dumb animals and all apes were created in God's image. So, was this something Dr. Milo did? Did Dr. Milo discovered that apes just rose up and evolved by natural selection? My guess is maybe, this is a big maybe, there's nothing to come to support this, maybe this isn't our Zira and Cornelius. Maybe this is a Zira and Cornelius from a different timeline. Now, this is nothing to support this. It's just my weird little thought and theory. I wish there was more evidence to say that this is that, but it's the only way I can think that makes sense why there's this big change in the plot line. The only other evidence I have is that there's Dr. Milo, because he was not there in the last movie. They give Zira some good old truth serum, and she talks about how she was basically a doctor, but not the good doctor sense. She was like, like the wartime doctors, the doctors who who only learn good medicine because they had to commit some atrocities. Those kind of doctors. And while the head commissions realize that, yeah, she may not be, by human standards today, what she may be doing is considered atrocities. By her point of view, she's just doing everything. What she's doing to basic animals, kind of like what we humans would do to, to dumb animals today. But Dr. Haslin, he brings enough fear mongering to the council, like, yeah, we're gonna kill the baby, and we're gonna sterilize the couple so they can't have any more babies. So yeah, we're exceeded. Really weird dark turn. Okay, we're gonna do some baby killing out of nowhere. And also, monkey is a slur in this film. Do not say monkey in front of Cornelius. It is the N-word to them, and he will freak your shit up. This boy comes in. He's just an orderly. He meant no harm. He didn't know it was a bad word. He didn't know he swore. He just said, "Oh, come on, don't you want? There's a little monkey in your wife's belly. Don't you want to help it?" Cornelius, that snapped him. He snapped. He shoved the food tray at that boy's face. He knocked him out, and then they broke out. And then Cornelius took up the gun and shot him. But why did the last part? Cornelius did not shot him. Cornelius did not shoot. But when they cut back to the boy's body, there's like this perfect. They show that he died from what Cornelius did, but it's not like a bump or scrape on the back of his head. It's like a perfect bullet hole in the back of his skull. And when I watched the first time, I thought I missed something. But when I just watched it right now, I was like, no, I didn't miss anything. It's just a perfect bullet hole in the back of his head. It's like, how? Cornelius just tossed him to the floor. Like, maybe if he pushed him to the wall in the back of his skull, it hit like a rusty nail. Maybe. But no, he just knocked him to the floor. Was there a stray bullet just waiting for somebody to fall on it? I don't know. They escape, and their escape goes on a bit long. It kind of lingers. Kind of lingers so much that Zira's makeup kind of looks kind of weird. There's like red little lines going around the face. Kind of how my face goes all jiggery like this. Like little red lines going around it. Almost like the makeup's kind of melting off or something. Oh, but no. Dr. Lewis and his assistant, they help him escape. They take him to this circus owner named Armando, this fancy Spaniard man. And he's like so sweet, so romantic. He loves apes and he loves Zira. And apparently he's played by the original guy from the old Fantasy Island show, Ricardo Montebellano. I am so sorry. This is if I'm being rude right now, but I cannot pronounce that last name. But yeah, this guy, he is so fun and charismatic that I really loved his performance. I kind of want to go back and watch the original Fantasy Island to see how good the show was, just from his performance alone. But yeah, they're there. Zira gives birth to the baby. She meets another chimpanzee mama who just gave birth, and they had this weird little sort of connection that I'm kind of ashamed that I didn't realize what they were doing beforehand, because it's kind of obvious. Dr. Haslan, his paranoia ass is kicking in. They hide out on a boat because the vets couldn't think of any better way to help him out. And you're thinking, okay, so how is it gonna have a cool, happy ending? It's not. None of the Planet of the Apes movies have ever had a happy ending so far. Oh no, this is so sad. So, Haslan, or I'm just calling him Eric. I'm gonna call the name of the actor, Eric Brandon. He finds, because Cornelius goes to somewhere else on the ship to find like a cleaner room for Zira to nurse the baby. So Eric Brandon, he finds Zira. He's like, give me the baby. I won't kill you, but I just give me the baby. She runs. He shoots Zira, and while she's running away, he keeps firing at her. She has to hide from him like he's a fucking slasher villain. Cornelius has a gun. He's on top of the ship. He doesn't know what's happening. He can't fucking see anything. Eventually, while they're out in the open, the vets come, and the whole fucking army shows up, and Zira, she's running out to get some help from anyone. She runs. She drops the baby. And Eric fucking Brandon shoots Zira, then shoots the baby. He shoots the baby when it just lands on the floor. And then Cornelius shoots Brandon from the top of the ship, and then the helicopter in the sky shoots Cornelius. Cornelius, he didn't even have a chance to say a badass one-liner before he dies. He just croaks on his own blood and collapses on the ground. And Zira, I don't know why she did this, but she just tosses the dead body of the child into the water, where she just crawls over to die in peace with her husband. And it's so fucked up. It's so fucked up. Like I said, I just watching these movies back to back because I haven't watched other films yet, but I've watched part 1 like 4 times now, part 2 3 times now, and this one 2 times now. I just got to love Zira and Cornelius so much, so just to watch them die in such a brutal fashion for no fucking reason. I mean, yeah, they did commit atrocities, but it was, but by their standards, it wasn't like horrible things. Yes, it was horrible, but God fucking damn it! God fucking damn it! And then the big punch, the big kick in the dick. They cut back to the circus. They're sitting it down. It's like about like a week later. So, because the plan was that they were gonna hide out on the ship, then the vets were gonna bring them back to the circus, and they were gonna ride with them for a while until they can get released so they can like pass by the Everglades. Because you know how I mentioned that the other chimp and the who just gave birth. So Zira, she switched the babies. She switched her baby with the dumb ordinary chimpanzee baby. So you see that like the where those things are called carrying the chimp baby. He has a little necklace on that Armando put on the baby. He's like, "You poor beautiful creature, intelligent, just like your parents." And you see the chimpanzee, and it's obviously very, very badly ADR'd over, but it just cry like, "Mama, mama, mama." It just cuts your heart out. It's like, why? But yeah, this was an amazing film. If I had to rank them, definitely the second best film. Doesn't beat the first one. Definitely beats out that weird where the hell beneath the Planet of the Apes was. Anything bad from it? Like I said, the whole thing about the whole planet caring about the ship coming back was kind of weird. But also, the whole thing about why people were caring about Taylor so much. Like, what about Dodge? What about, I forgot what the astronaut name is. What about Brent and his fellow? What about all the other people that went out in space? Why do you only care about Taylor? Why do you bring up Taylor? Were they trying to not bring up the events that beneath the Planet of the Apes? I mean, Zira did mention she met 2 talking humans. So she does remember Brent. So Beneath the Planet of the Apes is still in canon. Also, Like I said, it does kind of drag in some bits, like the ending with them constantly hiding and trying to do this and that. But again, it does build tension, so that's kind of fine. But yeah, this is another perfect banger. Go watch Escape from the Planet of the Apes. Okay, love you guys. Gotta go. Bye bye. See cups. Beat 'em up, beat 'em up, beat 'em up. You're still here? You're actually still here at the end of the video? Oh, I'm surprised. Thank you for staying for the whole thing. If you have a few more seconds of your time, if I could, can you scroll down to that description and hit that little button that takes you over to my Twitch? I stream there almost every day. We play horror games, action games, and visual novels. So, if you don't mind, if you like what I do here, if you can stand my annoying voice here, follow me on Twitch and we can hang out some more. Alright, hope to see you over there. Have a good day.